Good evening, and I'd like to call our June 4th, 2019 Piqua City Commission meeting to order. Let us stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we have our roll call, please?
Mayor Hines.
Here.
Commissioner Martin.
Here.
Commissioner Vogt.
Here.
Commissioner Lee.
Here.
Okay, and we have not, as we mentioned in the last meeting, our Fourth Ward Commissioner Dave Short resigned his position effective June 1st. I'm making an announcement tonight. We have 60 days to fill that position. Our charter states that we can appoint somebody as a commission. So at this time, we are asking for any letters of interest of anybody who lives in the Fourth Ward to send those on to me here at the city with their resume. And with that, we would like to see, with the letter of interest and resume, why do you desire to be on the commission? What is your desire to serve your city in this way? And we will then do interviews in July during a work session. So just wanted to let people know that that is the process that we will do, and then as the four commissioners up here will make the decision of who they will appoint from that list. So the next thing on our agenda is the oath of office for the Piqua Fire Department, and I'll turn it over to our city manager, Gary Huff.
Yes, this is the oath of office for Assistant Fire Chief. Paul, if you'll raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Paul H. Brown,
I, Paul H. Brown,
solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will obey the Constitution
that I will obey the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and of the state of Ohio,
and of the state of Ohio,
that I will in all respects
that I will in all respects
observe the provisions
observe the provisions
of the Charter
of the Charter
and the ordinances of the city of Piqua,
and the ordinances of the city of Piqua,
and faithfully discharge
and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Assistant Fire Chief.
of Assistant Fire Chief.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Congratulations, sir. Congratulations.
Good luck.
Gotta say thanks, Chris, but
Okay, this is the oath of office for fire captain. So Dustin, if you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Dustin A. Lacey,
I, Dustin A. Lacey,
solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will obey the Constitution
that I will obey the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and of the state of Ohio,
and of the state of Ohio,
that I will in all respects
that I will in all respects
observe the provisions
observe the provisions
of the Charter
of the Charter
and ordinances of the city of Piqua,
and ordinances of the city of Piqua,
and faithfully discharge
and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of fire captain.
of fire captain.
Congratulations.
Good to see you guys.
Next on our agenda, we have our announcement time. Do we have any announcements this evening?
Good evening. I'm Lisa Baker, the director of the YWCA. And in April, we celebrated our 100th annual meeting. And I just want you had designated the month of April as YWCA month, which was really a neat thing, and we appreciate it very much. And I'm sorry it's taken me so long to get here, but we had some scheduling things. And Mayor Hines was our program and did a fabulous job talking about the history of women in the YWCA. We were founded 100 years ago to offer wholesome activities for the women that started working in the undergarment industries. They were coming to town from this, coming into the city, and they needed activities. So in 3 days, the YWCA we raised $17,000, and our goal was $10,000. So it's pretty exciting. So we're going to be celebrating all year, and we appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lisa. And as I said, it was amazing to introduce some amazing women in the history of not only the YWCA, but our community. And, as I said then and I say now, like-minded women come together, and it's amazing what they can do. So thank you for all the YWCA does for our community and the wider community here in the Miami Valley. Thank you. And now we move to our consent agenda.
There's one item on the consent agenda tonight. It's the approval of the minutes from the May 21st, 2019 regular city commission meeting.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Has been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the consent agenda passes. And now we move to our old business, and we have one item, and it's the third reading of ordinance number 3-19.
An ordinance amending Chapter 51 of the Piqua Municipal Code Sewers.
Mr. Melvin will provide the staff report.
Thank you. This is the third reading. We'd had an industrial EPA audit of our industrial pretreatment program, and their findings and recommendations had these changes and additions to our sewer use ordinance. And with that, we applied to the EPA for a program modification, which they approved, and our legal has reviewed and approved as well. So with some of those changes, we had definition language, some discharge prohibitions language, local limits, clause additions, some enforcement procedures, confidentiality, and records retention.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments from the commission on this ordinance? Any questions or comments from the public on this ordinance? If not, since this is the third reading, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 3-19.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, the ordinance passes. And now we move to our new business, and the first is resolution number R-55-19.
A resolution fixing the time and place for a public hearing on the proposed city tax budget for Miami County for the calendar year 2020 and draft appropriation ordinance.
I'll call on Ms. Holtzapfel for our staff report.
Thank you. The state of Ohio requires the city to file their 2020 tax budget with the county in mid-July. This resolution is setting the public hearing for your review of that tax budget for July 2nd.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments from the commission on this resolution? Any questions or comments from the public on this resolution? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Move we adopt resolution R-55-19.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the resolution passes. And now we move to resolution number R-56-19.
A resolution approving the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, Community Development Allocation Program and Neighborhood Revitalization Program applications for program year 2019 and authorizing the city manager to submit the applications to the Ohio Development Services Agency, Office of Community Development.
Ms. Rainey will provide the staff report.
Thank you. Every 2 years, the city of Piqua receives an allocation from the Ohio Development Services Agency to implement local activities through the Community Development Block Grant Program. The city's allocation for program year 2019 cycle is $150,000. The city of Piqua is also eligible to submit a neighborhood revitalization program application for up to $750,000 for program year 2019. Both of these applications are due on June 14th. This resolution is to authorize the city manager to sign off for the submission of these two grant applications.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the commission on this resolution? Any questions or comments from the public on this resolution? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for resolution 56-19.
Second.
Has been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the resolution passes. And now we move to resolution number R-57-19.
A resolution authorizing a purchase order to the K.E. Rose Company for purchase and installation of specialized equipment in police vehicles.
Call on Assistant Chief Steiner.
Yeah, this ordinance would have to do with our annual fleet upgrade replacement that we do, and this is for purchase of the equipment that goes into the cars, the barricades, the sirens, lights, things like that, as well as stripping the old equipment out of the old vehicles.
Okay, great, thank you. Any questions or comments from the commission on this resolution?
Under budget on this, right?
Yes, there's also other items that come under that, like marking the vehicle, that aren't done at the same business.
I like.
Any other questions or comments from the commission? Any questions or comments from the public on this resolution? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I move we adopt resolution R-57-19.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the resolution passes. And now we move to resolution number R-58-19.
A resolution authorizing a purchase order to Lebanon Ford for the purchase of 3 Ford Police Interceptor utility vehicles.
Assistant Chief Steiner.
Again, this is part of our annual fleet replacement and upgrade. We did do a formal bid process on this, and the state bid price came back with the best price for having all the options that we needed.
Okay, and I know that we have discussed this before, that the Ford has, is it the console that to put the equipment in is much better than other makes of cars and different things? Thinking about our,
This, we can, they're making a new 2020, we can reuse at least the one barricade from the old vehicles and the new vehicles. The one other vehicle that came up was the Dodge Durango. Sherry's was great to work with, trying to get a good bid on that, but it had a column mounted, or not a column, it had a console mounted
Right.
shifter that was, with trying to mount computers and equipment, was just not going to be workable at this time.
Okay, and that's what has happened before. I just wanted to make sure, because that is a local option that we could use, but obviously it wouldn't work for.
This is the first year that Dodge has had an SUV, so.
Okay.
And if, we've discussed it with them, and they've taken it up the chain to Dodge to try to get some modifications done to see if that's something that'd be workable in the future.
Great, good, thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments from the commission? Any questions or comments from the public on this resolution? If you, please come to the microphone and you can introduce yourself and where you live, please. Thank you.
Kevin Jenkins. My question is on vehicles. How do you determine when you need a new one?
Are you asking for the police department?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you determine, or any city vehicle, how do you determine that you need a new
You know,
one?
they have a life expectancy, and we watch that. We try to drive them as long as we can before we start having tremendous maintenance problems and so forth. That's one of the big alerts to do
Yeah,
that.
I do.
Obviously, police vehicles are driven pretty hard, and
Right,
they
right.
wear out a little quicker than others.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just, it was just a question.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Thank you. Anything else on this resolution? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance, or resolution, sorry.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Has been moved and seconded. All those in favor of resolution number R-58-19 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the resolution passes. We now have the opportunity for public comment, and I know quite a few people are here in response to what we discussed at our last meeting with utilities. We are still working on getting all of the answers and all of the explanation of the things that were asked in the list that was given to us. My understanding from our city manager is that we should have that by Friday. And so we have decided as a commission to hold a special meeting next Tuesday at 6 o'clock to discuss specifically that issue and that issue only. And because the list was so exhaustive, we were not able to get all the answers right now. We want to make sure we have all that information. We will get it on the city website on Friday, once it is available. And we will make sure that you have a copy of it as well for, I know that because you have been kind of monitoring things for everybody. But it will be out on Friday, and then we will have a meeting on Tuesday to discuss those things. And that will be the only thing that we'll be discussing. So our problem is we have, some of us are going to be out of town for vacation, and we would not be all together to have us together until July, and we did not want to put it off till July. I don't think you all want to put it off till July, so that's why we're holding the special meeting next week. Okay, yes, and at that point, you're welcome to have public comment. I just wanted to let people know because I know people were here expecting that, so.
Well, first and foremost, let me say thanks for that. We talked about this before we came in, but just for the people that weren't with us, the general consensus is that nobody cares. And last week, I've actually been defending you guys and saying that that's not the case. I just ran into you in Marathon last week and told me, updates and everything. So I definitely appreciate it. At the same time, I will do my best to make sure everyone knows that. Thank you for holding the special meeting next week. I do have one question, though, if I might. Do you know who I am from last week? Do you remember when I was up here? You do? Okay. So my question for you is, why did you sit here at the beginning of this meeting when we were sitting down here at 5:30 and talk about my issue as if you didn't know who I was and I couldn't hear you? No, okay, that's fine. You don't have to answer. My other question is, you have told people in public places, there's something you don't know about me. I've lived here my whole life. I'm in a national touring band. People know me. Probably about 75% of the people in this area know me, okay? When you're in public places and you're making comments about me, they tell me, just like they told me the day after the last commission meeting, that we were all stupid. Now, I can't prove that, obviously. But you obviously think this is a usage issue, okay? So, no, you've had your time to talk. This is my turn. So, if this is a usage issue, what does the usage that we use have anything to do with being charged to check our meters? Does our usage curb that? No, probably not. I don't think so. Does our usage curb not getting any extra time at the end of our bills if we need just 24 hours? No, it doesn't. It's beyond usage. And I would appreciate it if you stopped talking about me and the people who have real concerns in public places like it's not going to get back to me. I ask you that respectfully, and I know you've had issues of calling people, I'm not going to repeat the words you used before. I'm not that one, man. I'm not afraid in this situation. You're not going to intimidate me or anyone here just trying to get answers. In my opinion, you shouldn't even be sitting in that seat. And that's where I'm going to leave it at that. I would respect it if you would respect my right as a citizen to get up here and say things without running your mouth outside of here. Thank you.
Now, I'm going to make something in response to that. I cannot recall mentioning anything about that. The only thing that I talked about on the utilities was Miss Blair, the lady that had the $200 electric bill, came to my house. I got that straightened out. They had a dead short in their house. That's all, the only conversation I've had about the utilities.
So you're calling people liars?
I was going to say, at this point, you have said, and I think, I don't want to get into a back and forth.
I'm Mrs. Blair, and
Okay.
I did stop at Mr. Voigt's house, and I want to say thank you to everyone here for, Mr. Krieger came out to our house, and he tried to help us find the issue. And we had some breakers that were pulling more wattage than what they should have been for an empty house. So what happened is a wire got loose, and it was condensating is what we're assuming. So yeah, I'm hoping my next bill won't be $200. This was the third $200 bill I just got, so hopefully July will look better for us. But I do appreciate all the help.
Figured it out, though. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My name's Eva Silvers. I do a lot of advocating work, a lot of activist work. You said you're making a forum for a special meeting about the utilities. I'd like this considered in the special utilities and this question answered. There's an address, 807, 807 and a half, and 809 Ash. These properties are owned by Legliette. The police department has and can verify a police report of everything that I'm saying. 3 years ago, I moved in these apartments. At this point, all 3 units were rented at the same time. The city of Piqua had no issue accepting 3 water deposits because there were 3 meters. They had no issue accepting 3 utility deposits because there were 3 units. However, Doug showed up because I had had enough with when Sean had come to turn the water on, he turns one main on, I have water shooting all over the basement. Why? Because Mr. Liette only has 1 inside the house. So if that wasn't problematic enough, when I called and spoke with Robin and was told that the meters to the road are, anything beyond the road to the house is the property owner's issue. The issue I have with that is that whether the meter is to the water or the utilities for this city, the city cannot and the residents cannot govern these landlords. If I go to the city department and I pay them for a service, whether it be my utility or my water, I expect my city that's offering me that service, I expect them to know that the unit I'm paying for is the one that I have rented. What I ultimately had happen was Doug and I getting into an argument in front of the house. 2 of the detectives down the road heard it come up. There's a City of Piqua red tag on my box. So I showed the officers. I still have lights. How does this happen? Happens because the house is wired wrong. I called your building inspector, Aaron Morrison, and he told me that I was having a fit. That property is now condemned for those exact same reasons. I still owe the city of Piqua that bill that I will owe and will not pay till the day I die, simply because this city cannot force me to pay for 3 other units. The city doesn't have that right. And if my husband runs a mechanic shop. If I purchase brakes and I put brakes on a vehicle, I do not then go back and say I have to make sure LC Delco manufactured those brakes pads correctly to insure my product or my service. The residents of this town cannot insure these slumlords, as these slumlords have been let go time and time and time again. And the city allows it because the city doesn't care. Because the city gets deposits, the city keeps deposits, and we get stuck with the bills and we get no answers. And Mr. Fault, with all due respect, sir, you have been heard in public disrespecting people. And what you need to understand is it is our tax money that runs this city and is exactly what allows you to sit in that seat. Thank you.
Can I want to make sure we have the addresses before you leave tonight of the properties so we can help follow up on this.
I think they've been condemned, is that what you said?
They have been
Yeah,
condemned
see,
for that exact same reason.
This is something that.
They were rented a year after that, though, before they were condemned. I still owe that bill. How is that possible?
Well, one of the things I would tell people with any landlord, that if you feel there's something wrong to do, is to contact code enforcement.
Mr.
Aaron has really done, I do the prosecuting on these 2. Aaron has done a really nice job. He's got 300 properties currently that he's working with.
That have condemned signs. What's the city going to do with them, though?
Well, what we're doing is we're trying to either force the landlords to fix up the properties, or if they don't fix them up, we take them to court. They can get criminal charges filed against them, which has happened in the last 6 months.
I mean, you have to understand our
Currently,
aggravation.
one landlord has over 25 criminal charges pending against him. He can get a $1,000 fine for each one of those, or up to 6 months in jail.
Like, a lot of
We're
us have lived
trying
in
to
this.
work on that. You've seen some properties torn down in town recently. The one on Park Avenue was a landlord that we pressured into tearing it down. There's others that we're working on. It takes time. I wish, believe me, if I had a bulldozer and all the money in the world, these places would be coming down tomorrow, but I don't.
And respectfully, I agree it takes time.
And
But
we're
with the
working on
city
it.
and
It's
my-
not as though we don't care. I can tell you that right now, because I'm the one doing this on the
The
prosecution.
utility department, as far as residents are concerned, does not care. They do not give you, and Channel 7 has done one story after another where Piqua has told them they accept payments. I would offer 5 residents in this town the opportunity to come and explain a payment arrangement ever done with the city of Piqua Utilities. Because my mother was in the hospital, and even being in the hospital, they wouldn't extend her bill, not a day. They don't do it. And yet they get on Channel 7 time and time again, and they lie to the public. That's a fact. The stories are on WHIO. The residents here are watching our community go down the drain. We want to invest all of this money in all of these things, but we have all of these dilapidated properties that would not be here had 20 years ago the property's been upkept, maintained, and structurally moved forward. And then we move into this part of an issue with our utility. We're getting ready to put another low-income apartment complex in here. The city of Piqua, beyond the deposit rate, doesn't seem to take an interest in the taxpayers that pay taxes here, and that's a problem. And as you see the new generations move in, you're going to see more and more people being active and being proactive in their communities because citizens are fed up and they're going to take their communities back. They want it clean. They want to raise their kids in a better environment. And I would challenge any city official to actually jump on that bandwagon instead of staying with the good old boys network.
Ma'am, I've been out in the last 6 months. I have filed a lot of criminal charges. I live in this town also. I do not appreciate the fact that these properties are not taken care of. And
But we can agree, the prior building inspector before Aaron Morrison wasn't doing much.
I don't know. I mean, I can't go back and change what happened 20 years ago, 15 years ago. We only can go forward.
You're right.
I
but
can
the
tell you
residents are
now
stuck
that
paying
we
for
are.
what was. We're
what-
still paying
what
that
we are
cost of
doing
what wasn't
now
addressed.
is trying to improve on that. And we are taking landlords to court, and we have. And it's not just landlords, anybody. But I also want to understand there are people out there that don't have the financial means to take care of their places. I've worked with the people in the city now for 6 months, and we try to help those people. There's this lady on Park Avenue. We're trying to help her. But we're having difficulties having her come in and help and get the help. There's certain things that we can only do before we have to drop a hammer on
And I agree.
on those people,
One
too.
of my biggest issues is there are a lot of Liette properties here, and there are a lot of people paying rent monthly,
Ma'am,
and
I-
there's a lot of damage to those houses. There's still bullet holes in the house from that got shot up on Wayne Street. Those bullet holes were in that house 4 years ago. Those bullet holes are still sitting in that window.
And if you are a tenant and you have problems in your property, then you need to call Aaron, and he will get out there.
And I will say that since Mr. Morrison has been here, we have renters we have gotten into those properties, and I'll tell you, some of the pictures we've seen are horrible. They are horrible for the living, and so we are very well aware of that. We are doing the best we can to address them as quickly as we can and do it through, and Mr. Patrizio is taking people to court and trying to hold them accountable to that. And it's a huge issue in our community, and we're aware of that. We are aware of
A
that.
forum that may help you is citizens in Piqua that are fed up with Liette Realty. It's on Facebook, and multiple people have added pictures of the
Have them
homes.
call in and make complaints. We can't get into the inside of the house unless they invite us in. If they invite us in, we can take pictures and we can,
It goes
try
as a
and run it.
totality, from the utilities to the housing and then beyond.
I mean,
Well,
since
and
I've been here, I've seen Aaron condemn a property, it seems like a property a week almost, and a lot of them are Mr. Liette's,
And
and
the sad part is we've let our city decay to that level.
I'm not going to disagree with you.
Yeah. But we're trying to do the best we can because we have it's a big job to get there, but we are trying to do the best we can. But I will say, and I'm saying to you and any other citizen out there that is listening, if they are living in a property that is substandard and is not, we cannot go in there until you invite us in. So if you call us, invite us in, we can come in and begin that process.
And they are working with citizens who can't get their properties up to code right away.
Right.
He said that. And we had a meeting last week with a citizen who's doing just that. He's getting it done, so.
I think with the housing issue that I have related to the utility issue is the assurance that the tenant is actually contracting the services for the unit that they're renting instead of renting a unit and contracting the whole building services.
Right, and that was not fair to you as a tenant, and you do have rights as a tenant. And I will say that the CDBG grants that we were just talking about with Ms. Rowley, Ms. Rayleigh, I apologize. Ranley, God, I'm sorry, Janelle. Miss Ranley, I call her Janelle, Miss Ranley. But the CDBG money is there. There is neighborhood block grants. Do you want to speak to this?
I can a little bit. So beyond the housing improvement program that we have, which runs on grant cycles, we also have a fair housing program. So this includes tenant-landlord disputes. Those things can be reported to us as well. Now, granted, we can't, the issue has to go to us and it goes to the county, then it goes to a regional rep. But these complaints can help us, I believe, with, a particular landlord who has, several complaints against him with other areas. So fair housing can help in these situations as well. But again, we have to have the report, we have to have the complaint. Without that, then, we can't do a whole lot, so.
Yeah, okay. And so there are avenues for people, but again, until you come to us, there's nothing we can do. I mean, unfortunately.
On the interior, on the exterior, if I see
Yes.
something, or Chris sees something, or the mayor sees
Yeah.
something, or the city manager, we will
Just
look
so
at it.
you can understand my aggravation and I'll get you guys a copy of the police report. Aaron Morrison was called by the detectives, so he was made aware of that house. And it took a year further and more tenants being rented before the house was structurally condemned. And I'm still stuck with the bill that I left there, and I won't pay it. I'm not gonna pay for 2 units that aren't mine when I have a police report that says locked out, but lights on. The residents aren't gonna do that. I mean, I have to make a living just like everybody else, and I can afford my bills, but not the whole town's.
What was the property address again?
807, 807 and a half, and 809 Ash.
Okay. All right, okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, this is public comment.
Yeah. On what Tanny was saying, you do deserve credit for helping her. 100%. She texted me as soon as it happened that she told you the issue, somebody was sent out. Was that correct?
Well, I was mowing grass and I walked over and invited him to come over and see if he could help me figure out where I was wasting the electricity.
Exactly. And that was actually her property. We went through and did a lot of cleanup.
I in turn called the director of the parks and referred him to her.
Absolutely. That's what we need. That's what we need right there.
Well,
No,
to be honest, what would be really helpful for all these citizens is for Mr. Krieger to maybe make a video showing him what he did at our house so that people can check and figure out how to do this and maybe help themselves.
My goal, like I said at the last commission meeting, is to get a resolution for this. I don't care how we do it. I don't care who gets credit for it. That's why I'm up here after I just chastised you, giving you 100% credit for helping her, because you deserve it. That's all we want here, is a solution. And
Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
you can follow
go
up.
ahead.
Okay. You said something last week that touched my soul, and that was, say from the pulpit, nobody's going to listen. And I kind of made reference to this earlier in the meeting as well. I'm a promoter. I'm 100% aware. I've made flyers that have the time, date, how much it costs to get in, and the first 3 comments are, how much does it cost, what time does the doors open, and who's playing, okay? So I get that. But at the same time, and I referred to this earlier, the general consensus is that nobody's paying attention, nobody wants to hear anybody's problems. So actually I was gonna say something that Tani just brought up, maybe make a video of what you just told her. Or what you told her about we can't do anything if we don't know. Will dispel a lot of the issues, I think. If you came out yourself, even just simple phone video, we want to help you. Come to me, here's my number. And I don't even mean this as any type of sarcasm or anything. I try to do that with this entire situation, so that way nobody can say, well, you didn't tell me. If you make that first move and nobody calls you up on it, you can always go back to that first move and say, I tried. And I think that's where a lot of people are getting hung up on is there's no proof of anyone trying that I can find or anyone else can find. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I will say that I have a show on Channel 5, but it's also on YouTube, and I share it on my mayor's page, and Indian Nation Station shares it on their page as well, where I interview different people in the city trying to get education as to why we built the water treatment plant, why we're doing the renovation to the wastewater treatment plant. I just did one with our police department to wish our Chief Jameson farewell, and also to introduce our new chief and to talk about some issues around that we were dealing with in the community. But I did one with Mr. Morrison recently, and we talked about some of these issues that we are talking about right now. And so it is out there, again, it's out there on my mayor's page, it's out there on YouTube, it's out there, and through Channel 5 and a variety of places. So
I didn't even know that existed.
Excuse me?
I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, so we try to do the best we can, and I think what happens is things like this bring it to the forefront. We get the information out, and we all learn in the process of how to continue to move forward.
Sure,
So,
and I'm a very valuable asset to you right now. So if you send me those things, I can look for them myself.
Yeah.
But I believe I gave you my card, or even if Chris, you had it, I could share that for you. I'm not
Well,
guaranteeing.
I was going to say, it's always on my mayor's page, so you can always share.
Sure,
my
yeah, I
idea.
mean, obviously I'm gonna do that now. But I mean, just in future reference, if there's anything out there, you go, hey, could you get this to your people? I'm more than happy to do it. You know, and the goal here is to get a resolution. Doesn't matter how we get there.
Well, the goal is to work together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to follow up on that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, do we have any other public comment this evening?
Good evening. My name is Bill Jacqua. I live in the 5th Ward, 607 North Sunset Drive. Let me just kind of start out this evening as I apologize for last week. I was a little nervous and I got a little more animated than I really should have, and so I apologize for that. So I'm back here tonight on the drug issue, and I'm back here specifically on the lack of drug enforcement in the city of Piqua. And I just want to make you aware of the fact that it's a matter of record that your chief law enforcement officer, drug enforcement officer in this town agrees with me. And I think he would be pretty stunned to go claim the public record that is now on tape with him agreeing with my assessment of drug enforcement in the city of Piqua. So, having said that, I just want to bring up a couple facts. And so when Chief Jameson said last week that there is a hard to keep track of records between cities, well, that's kind of true. But the records that I'm using is between Piqua and Troy because it's a comparative analysis, and I think most people can understand that. And you know, it takes some understanding, and there's some variance in it, and I don't pretend to be a professional. But what I can tell you is that there's some pretty striking differences between law enforcement in Piqua and law enforcement in Troy. So I'm going to start with and again, the reports, the Piqua Police reporting system is the same as the reporting system in Troy. So this is public information. You just have to request it. As I said last week, it's not optional. You guys don't get to pick and choose what you have to give to the public. It's a matter of law. So I'm going to start with just a simple comparison, so you know. And this is drug possession offenses. So I'm assuming this is arrest. And I don't know about the convictions. I think that's a whole nother story. But so in the last 2-year period, Piqua had 202 just drug arrest. Troy, by comparison, had 537. Now, I think anybody with any kind of, you don't need an analytical brain to figure out that they are much more aggressive with law enforcement than we are. Now, I've also requested, the city of Troy was very, forthcoming with their budget, and it just took me a day to get it. I have not got it from Piqua yet, but he's assured me that I will get it, and I appreciate that. But just to give you an example, Troy's budget is $6 million a year.
Is this, I'm sorry, excuse me, for the city or is this for the police
For the
department?
police department, I
Okay,
apologize.
thank you.
$6,177,000. Okay, so that's what theirs is. Now, Piqua's, I understand, is $500,000 less than that. Okay, so what I'm going to recommend here tonight is that we take $500,000 out of our general fund, give it to the police department, and earmark it for drug enforcement. And I think a lot of these issues that you guys are dealing with, did you guys get the picture I sent you of the heroin dealer, what his house looked like? That's typical in Piqua. And I would like to spend some time here, and I'm not going to tonight, but I've been around this for a long time, and it's a ministry to me. I was saved by a drug addict 20 years ago, and he just had gotten out of prison, and his family runs the mafia, major mafia family in the United States, and he was a major drug dealer, and he went to prison, became a born-again Christian, and I spent a year with this guy learning about his life and also learning about the Word of God. So since then, I have an open heart toward addicts, toward drug dealers, and so I think I have a more in-depth knowledge than the average person about it because I've taken the time and effort to spend some time with it. So I'll stop there, but that's my proposal, is that you find $500,000 to start with. You earmark that for drug enforcement in the city of Piqua, and I assure you that a lot of the poverty in Piqua comes from drugs. And I'll close with this. I have a building that it's on the corner of High Street and Broadway. And I'm just going to give you an example, okay? So to the right of me is the dealer that you guys caught, you guys busted for fentanyl, 3 pounds of fentanyl. Okay, now he was involved with the Mexican dude. He's going to court next week, and I prayed with him, and hopefully he's repentant, and hopefully he'll be a saved soul someday. But the fact of the matter is, he's a fentanyl dealer. Okay, across the street from me, it's a well-known fact. This guy's been dealing heroin in the open. It's stunning. It's stunning to me that can go on. Everybody in town knows the guy's a heroin dealer. Now, he has since moved, but it's my understanding that he's been replaced. There's 3 houses right in a row that are heroin dealers. And to me, it's just stunning that can go on. Now, to the left of me is a guy who just got out of prison for heroin. So this is this side of my house, or my property, and across the street. And so how anybody can tell me that Piqua doesn't have a problem, or that I don't know what I'm talking about. You know, just one more example is, you know, when Mulligan's took most of Z's happy hour business, about 20 of us stayed and through their happy hour. And we were stunned. I mean, in the open daylight, you'd have a guy come in on one side of the street, hop out of the car, come up Ash Street, out of the car, come inside, do their drug deal, and leave. That went on for a year, and we were stunned by it. I came down to the police department, and I complained. And it was like, you know, well, you know, I'm sure somebody's going to look into it or take care of it. And that was the end of it. Nobody ever heard you know, how that stuff can go on in the public. What you should be taking from this is that we have a lack of enforcement problem. I think the proof is right here, and I hope you'll consider giving these guys another $500,000 to get rid of it here in Piqua. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ruth Kuhn, and I am here to speak on probably a more not so serious subject. I commend these people for coming together and speaking to you. I think if these people unite and speak in a respectful way, they will get a lot accomplished. I remember about 10 years ago, Gene Frantz and I got together and we formed a committee and to address property maintenance here in town. And it did do some good, but we were slipping. I do agree with them. I drive around town quite often, and you can see a lot of properties just deteriorate terribly. In fact, I think I emailed all of you about 5 of them that have plagued our city for a number of years. So I would commend these people to, that I do believe that the city cares. We all care how our city looks. So this is not a frivolous matter, but this is a more positive matter I want to talk about. The Friends of the Piqua Parks and the Main Street Beautification Committee got together, joined together, and started a fundraiser to restore the Don Gentili statue in downtown Piqua. For about 40 or 50 years, that statue has stood in our downtown and has become very dirty and dingy, to the point where you could not even distinguish the features of his face or the details in his jacket or his hat. So we were able to get Mike Major, who did do the bronze statue of William Pittsburgher. He came and took the statue down from the pedestal, took it to his studio in Urbana, and completely restored it and clear-coated it so it will not become so deteriorated in the future. And it looks wonderful. I hope you all go by and see. You can now see this handsome face, all the details in his jacket, and it's very, very prominent now. But we would like to thank the Piqua community because they are the ones that helped do this funding. The American Legion, of course, the VFW, and the Miami County Foundation all helped us accomplish that. The other positive thing I want to mention is we talked about the deteriorating properties in Piqua, but I want to bring up our beautiful historic area here in Piqua. I can't tell you how impressed I am by the people, the owners of these properties, what they are doing to upgrade their properties, starting with in fact, that historic area has now they have banded together and become I think it's the Piqua Caldwell Historic District. At Christmas time, they have a tour of some of those homes where people can go inside and see the beautiful homes. Some of the houses, the Rodriguez House, or as we all used to know it, the Wilmire House on the corner of Downing and Ash, was just recently painted. It looks absolutely beautiful. And of course, we all can't wait to see our restored old library building. I hope that begins soon. And then on the corner of at 601 North Downing, the Elliott House, which just recently won a Residence Pride Award, that house looks fabulous. And we all remember how the stucco was coming off. And in fact, all four of those houses on that corner of Downing and North, the Klosterman House, the Herman House, and I'm sorry, I don't know the people's name on the other corner, those are beautiful houses. Excuse me. 314 Boone Street, which dead ends into Downing Street, there was a house there that started to deteriorate, and someone purchased it, repainted it, and it looks beautiful. It's for sale, 314 Boone Street. Then on North Wayne Street, 520 North Wayne, Sue Teach and Beth Kaiser completely refurbished that house, and it is absolutely beautiful. This house is not particularly in the historic district, but it's a house on the corner of Walker and Ash Street, and I hope you all go by that. They're completely renovating that house. All the paint has been taken off of the outside of the home, and they are doing major restorations. Bill and Christy Hayes at that corner, Ash and Walker Streets. So I just wanted to tell you, we do have some problems in our community with some blighted properties, but we also have a lot to be proud of, and we have to encourage people to do this. I am encouraging these people to, I think it's great that you have gotten together, you're all going to get together and discuss this. That's the only way we can improve our community. So thank you for listening.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for pointing out those properties. I walk this community a lot. I am around in a variety of different areas, and I have to say it's exciting to see different things happening. There's a house on Park Avenue that put up this real interesting landscaping piece where flowers are. It's somewhere just after the school, going up Park Avenue. There's a house on High Street that just put this amazing deck on the front of the house, which really just made the house pop. So it's exciting to see people start to take care of their property, and this time of year especially, we're all outside trying to do that. So thank you for pointing out some of those homes that people are loving here in our community. Any other public comment this evening? If not, we will move to our city manager's report.
Just one item tonight, and I wanted to take the time to introduce our acting police chief, Rick Byron. Rick, raise your hand there. I think everybody knows you. He'll be acting chief until June 30th, and then on July 1st, he will take over as police chief. He went through a civil service process to be named police chief, and we're happy to have him on board, and I look forward to working with him. That's all.
Okay. Commissioner Lee?
Dialogue. Have an open dialogue. I love the fact that people come to this body and respectfully want to be heard. And when you give respect, you get respect. And you guys have been respectful. You're wanting some answers. We're willing to work with you. I love that's what it's about. You know, I had somebody in my ward say, "Hey, can you come with me to a meeting to discuss things?" And I went with him. He was very respectful. He got some answers that he wanted. You know, I thought that was great. Open dialogue helps us all in the end. May not get ultimately the answers that you want, but as long as you're working towards the same goal, and you do get some answers, I think that says a lot. I mean, because you could sit out there and complain and say, you know, they're not listening, and the other side could say, well, they don't care. You don't want that. You want people talking so that we're working together towards a common goal, and that's what it's about. And appreciate everybody that's come up and said stuff, because nothing gets done unless you speak up, and we appreciate that. So I want to congratulate the Assistant Chief Brown and Captain Lacey for their promotions. I worked with Acting Chief Byron for many years, and I'm very glad that he got the position and very proud of him. Congratulations. Another note that I would like people to know about is that Larry Hamilton's PROD program is having a community dialogue. Another one of those things when you talk, he finds out things, and so it's tomorrow night at 6 p.m. at Greater Love Church, and it's about the PROD program. He's looking for some ideas on how to make that program better. It's a good thing. And did we not, City of Piqua, Piqua High School have a girl that finished 5th, or was it 8th?
She finished 8th, Camilla Nicholas, yes, at the state track meet.
Congratulations to her.
400-meter dash, that she is fast. She is freshman, and she's a freshman, which is amazing.
And the last thing, and I had spoken to Gary about it, but I want people to know, we were supposed to get some equipment for Pittsburgh Park playground equipment, I believe, and you were going to check into that, right?
Right.
Other than that, hey, keep coming, keep watching, participate. This is your community. This is for you. We're up here, we represent you, but it's like someone said tonight, you know, you guys are the ones that make it possible for us to be up here. And if we're not doing what you want, tell us. We need to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Vogt?
Well, the lady that was talking earlier about the 3 different meters, several years ago, I made a suggestion that if we had occupancy permits where every house was inspected before it was rented, would alleviated that problem. And I still think that we should have occupancy permits that they go through the house and they notice drippy faucets, check the electric, sufficient wiring, would help a lot.
Maybe they could implement a program like that and charge a service fee of like $25 and kick it back.
Well,
It would have to be more than $25, but you could do it on a yearly basis, and the renter, I mean, you know, landlords would have to do it. I mean, these are things we've talked about.
I made this suggestion several years ago, and really, people rebelled about it. Real estate agents rebelled about it. And I made the remark, the fee that would be charged for the inspection could be added to the deposit of the rental. This here would get rid of a bunch of underwired houses, which makes your utilities higher. And by no means, I'm not talking about anybody or bad-mouthing anybody, but these are solutions that I have suggested a long time ago. And now they come back and they're facing us, but I think it's something that we as a community and a commission should look at, occupancy permits on the rental properties. This here would keep the landlords up to date on what's going on, and their properties would be safe, and if there's a reason for high electric bills, it could be a way to find it out. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
No, at this point, we're just doing, we're through with public comment. Sorry. Yeah. Commissioner Martin?
I did some research after our last meeting. There are a couple of solar companies in this area that put up solar on houses for either no cost to the homeowner or very small cost homeowner. I'm not exactly sure how their plans work, but I did notice that there's 2 of them that are in this area. And there are a lot of people that make meters that you can hook into your electric system, and it'll tell you how much you're using. One of the meters I looked at, it says it's 99% accurate, so it should be close. I'm gonna buy one because I want to see if it actually works. Because our bill at our house is erratic. It goes up, it goes down. I think that's probably more me and my wife's doing than the city of Piqua, though. But at least it would tell me, because this particular meter is set up so that you can monitor it anywhere, anytime. You get an app that you put on your phone, and you can tell real time what your electric's doing. So I wanted to get one and try it out and see if it actually works. Other than that, that's it.
Could I say something here again? The, at the Blair House, I believe that Ed Krieger told me they went around the house and plugged something in each circuit to see what was going on. Am I right? Was you there when that happened?
I was not there. My husband and Mr. Krieger did this, so I
If
can't.
it's something they had, they go plug into each thing
I
and
believe they did, but
see
I'm
what's
not
going
100%
on.
sure.
Okay, and as Commissioner Vogt said, we have talked about this occupancy permit, and we have had that discussion, and we will continue to have that discussion. We'll continue talking about this on Tuesday as well. And I want to just say, again, communication is the key, so keeping that line of communication open. This is how changes happen. This is how we move forward as a city. And again, if we are not together, we are not strong. And so I hope that come Tuesday, we can continue this conversation and come to some type of agreement on some things and understanding on both sides of the issue, kind of why things are done the way they are, and just continue that conversation, continue that. It's at 6 o'clock, normal commission meeting time, Tuesday at 6. So just a couple other things that I want to mention. Again, I want to reiterate that our 4th Ward Commission seat needs to be filled. We have 60 days starting June 1st to fill that seat. We are seeking letters of interest from people and their resumes by July 1st. And with that, in that letter of interest, we'd like to hear why you desire to serve on the commission in that seat. You have to live in the 4th Ward. In order to put your letter in. If you do not know where you live, you can come by the city, you can call, and they can tell you where, if you are in the 4th Ward. And I will quickly say it's basically about Broadway, out Fountain Park area. That's kind of a loose boundary, but that's the area that Commissioner Short was serving. It was Commissioner Terry's ward prior to that. Also, a reminder of my recent Eye on the City with the police department. Again, those are all on my website. They're on Indian Nation Station YouTube. You can go back and watch the ones that I've done with the water treatment plant. I went out to Johnston Farm. I just did the one with the police department. I did one with Aaron Morrison in code compliance. My job, I feel, in this position, not only as a commissioner or as mayor, is to get as much information out there to the citizens to help educate all of us as to why we do things the way we do and what makes our city run. And so I'm trying to do that in a variety of ways and hoping that these videos will help do that as well. Want to congratulate our high school graduates. We had some high school graduations happen since our last meeting, and we have a lot of great seniors, graduating seniors that are doing a variety of things to give back to their community and jobs, and will be off into college pretty soon as well. So congratulations to all of our high school graduates here in the city of Piqua. I also spoke last week at Piqua Manor at one of their senior citizen lunches, and one of the conversations that came up were trash cans and the mobility issues that sometimes our older citizens might have with our trash cans. And I want people to know that, and we've talked about this in winter months, if you have issues getting out of your house, if there's ice to get your trash can down to the drive, you can call our sanitation department. They will come up and get that trash can if you put it outside the house so you don't have to walk across the ice. Also, if you have permanent disability or permanent mobility issues and not being able to get your trash can to the curb, call our health department or sanitation department, and they will arrange to pick that up on a daily basis, despite whatever the weather is. So I wanted to make sure that our citizens that do have mobility issues here in our city knew that was an opportunity. But you have to call and set that up here through our sanitation, our health department. Rock Piqua coming up June 15th. There's a variety of things coming up here in the city, and Rock Piqua is always a great event for our community. And again, it will be on Canal Place this summer, and not Lock 9, because we are starting some of the renovation work there. I was able to go out to our neighbors in West Milton and do some tornado cleanup on Sunday with some kids from the high school. I want to send a special message of support and care and encouragement to our citizens to go and help our brothers and sisters in West Milton. There was a lot of damage in that community. Many people were hit by these tornadoes, not only in Salina, Trotwood, and Dayton, but even in our own backyard in West Milton. So we need to remember those people in our thoughts and prayers, and anything that you can do. It was amazing as we were out there, the number of people that were stopping to give us water, stopping to bring us food, and people just want to be part of coming together to support one another after these horrible natural disasters in our area. So I just want to remind people that we do have somebody really close to us in the community of West Milton that was affected. Music Warehouse Boot Camp is currently going on at the high school. The performance will be Friday at 7:30, so if you're looking for some good entertainment, I was out there Monday morning watching these kids, and there's a lot of good energy. So Music Warehouse at Piqua High School, 7:30 on Friday. Also, there is a meeting tomorrow night at Upper Valley Career Center to talk about our dams and what's going on with possibly taking out dams or restructuring the dams in our river. It's at 6 o'clock at Upper Valley Career Center. So if you're interested, you can go and be part of that discussion as well. Bike Piqua will hold their first slow roll on Monday, June 10th at 6 p.m. and it will start as a ribbon cutting on our new bike, the bike bridge going towards the off of 36 going towards the mall, and so we will do that at 6 o'clock and then ride around the mall area and down to the bike path and kind of come back and do a circle there. So people want to get out. It's a great way to get out with your family and ride your bike with other folks here in our community. Also, I'm starting up my Read with the Mayor since we are in summer months, and my first one will be June 13th at 10 a.m. at the fountain outside here at the City Building. If it's raining, we will be inside in the lobby, but this is a great way. I do this in connection with the schools as a great way for kids to get their reading certificate for the summer, their books that they need to read as they go back to school, and there's lots of prizes that they get for reading different books, and it's a great way for me to meet with some of the youngest citizens that we have in our community. I always enjoy reading books to our youngest citizens, so I encourage you, if you have anybody in 6th grade or below and they want to come and have me read a few books to them, I'd love to see them on June 13th. It's Thursday at 10 a.m. The only other thing that I really have to say is on a personal level, my son got his permit today, and I'm a little nervous. So I am just putting that out there for our community and our police department. But no, we have quite a few kids in my son's grade, obviously, that are starting to drive. As all parents, we get nervous when that happens. But, you know, with summer months, we have so many people out on the roads. And so I've seen kids on bikes and kids on scooters and things like that. So just a reminder, let's slow down. Let's keep our eyes open because we do have a lot of kids out moving about, not only in vehicles, but just in a variety of other ways as well.
You know you got to be in the car with him when he's driving.
I'm aware of that. I'm aware of that. Spoken by, a former police officer here. Yeah, I am aware of that. So that's right. So with that, I have nothing else. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned.